This Capture Masterclass is a live show that airs once a month, every month. But in between shows, I want to connect with you directly. I know that some of you may be losing your sanity trying to reach your ideal audience organically and actually get clients from your content. Because we get told that this is what we need to do, right? We need to create a ton of content for every single social media platform and a podcast and blog posts and YouTube videos. Oh my gosh. And we need to put it all out on the internet so that hopefully anyone will come across it and want to know more about what we do and what we have to offer. And you've probably tried that with little to no results, which kind of sucks. I know exactly what this feels like. So if you're a coach, consultant, or service provider who wants to create content with intention, the intention to reach more of your ideal client and get them to actually pay you from your content without losing your sanity and get a return on your time, then I want to invite you to a free community of other entrepreneurs doing exactly the same thing. That is getting clients from their content the intelligently lazy way. If you're interested in learning more, open up a new tab and check it out right here. Right here. Let's grow our audience and get more clients together.
Hello and welcome to this month's Capture Masterclass. So the link was not actually in the video, so we're going to drop that in the comments. Bono, if you're on here, if you wouldn't mind dropping the link to the Facebook group, and we'll also have it in the show notes. But my name is Deidre Shen. Oh, my camera is like not very centered. I'm gonna slide down. My name is Deidre Shen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Capshow, and I am so passionate about these monthly masterclasses because I have curated the best experts in their field to help you each month with one strategy that you must implement. And each of these strategies are designed specifically to help you get clients from your content. So if you don't want to miss out on any of these masterclasses, then make sure you subscribe to this channel. Hey JP, so good to see you on live. Today, my special guest is Josh Tapp, who is basically the Tinder for big businesses. You know that saying, your network is your net worth? Well, there is no one else on the planet who lives and breathes that more than this guy. Josh is the founder of The Pantheon and has used the Pantheon method to take his own podcast to the top 5 on Apple Podcasts and generate over $50 million in revenue. So seriously, there is no one better to share exactly how to make your first or your next 50K with your content. But first, let's talk about something you didn't even know you needed in your life.
One of the most common questions I get is, Deidre, what's with the sloth? The sloth. They're everywhere. And as entrepreneurs, we have a lot going on. And that's just an understatement, right? You're not just an entrepreneur. You're a marketer, you're a manager, you're an accountant, you're a producer, you're an editor, you're a content creator. Seriously, the list goes on, which is why our mission here at Capshow is to help you be intelligently lazy, to get results with your content simply without losing your sanity, so that you have the time to take that really deep, calming breath you need to keep it all going. And sloths, well, they're masters of this in the wild, being intelligently lazy. Sloths have this incredibly efficient metabolism that makes them so good at conserving the energy that they need for the things that matter, like surviving for the last 64 million years. And this lazy intelligence, this is in our DNA. It's how us Capshovians are built. And so we did something pretty cool and something pretty wild. As a Capshovian, you can now consider yourself a sloth parent, or maybe a cool aunt or uncle, sloth aunt or sloth uncle, because we have adopted this gorgeous sloth, Freckle, on behalf of all Capshovians. You'll be hearing more about her as we share more. And it will be a reminder for all of us entrepreneurs to live, work, and play intelligently lazy.
And now say hi to our special guest. Welcome, Josh.
Hey guys, how's it going? Good to be here.
And everyone who's on here live, please say hi. Help us welcome Josh Tapp to this month's masterclass. In the spirit of all things intelligently lazy, I wanted to kick off things off with something a little fun. Is that cool, Josh? Are you cool with this?
Yes, let's do
Yes.
it. I love
Okay,
fun.
cool. All right. So we started this at our in-person live event, Capshogan's Live, and I thought I'd make this a tradition. So do you remember, Josh, when we did Capslow Sloth Trivia?
Oh, yes, I do. This is not a good thing for me. I'm a good
And I want to raise. It's okay. We're going to help you through this. Okay, I want to raise the stakes a little bit. So this is for everyone on here live. If you're on here live, can you please just put your name in the comments? Type your name in the comments if you're on here with us live. Type your name in the comments, because what we're going to do is we're going to pick someone at random. So we need to know who's on here. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, we're going to pick someone. And I'm going to ask Josh some really hard sloth related questions. And if he gets them all correct, then the lucky person who was picked is going to get a free Capsho mug. Capsho mug. I don't know if you can see that, but it's pretty cool. So Josh, did you brush up on your sloth trivia at all? How are you feeling
no,
about?
and I was like, this isn't scripted either. So I'm like, there's some serious. I'm never nervous to speak, and all of a sudden I'm nervous to speak.
All right, no, it's okay. We are going to help you out. Okay, so, and hint, Josh, I think you know this, but you know what they say: if you don't know the answer, just go with C. All right?
Yes. Yeah, and that was my methodology in college, and I got a 3.6 GPA. So I was like, that worked.
Awesome.
That worked.
We're
well.
going to keep this going. Okay, all right. So let's get into it. All right. Okay, we are going to pick someone. It is going to be Beth. Beth, who is on here. You are going to be playing. Oops, I've lost Josh.
No, I'm still here. We're good.
Okay, hold on. I think I've just got to get your camera on here. Otherwise, I think I'm seeing myself twice. So give me
Yeah,
one
that's okay.
second.
Everybody wants to see you.
All right, you're back on here.
We're
All right. Okay, so Beth you're going to be playing for Beth. Okay, now, just so you know, Josh, it's high stakes. Okay, you are the only person standing between Beth and this Capsho mug.
Beth, if I don't get it, I will buy you the mug and send it to you. You're getting a mug regardless.
All right. Okay. So let's get into this. Let's get into the first question. All right.
Oh my goodness.
So how many? Oh wait, I've got to put your camera on this one as well.
That's all we got. Let's do it.
But you get more time. Okay. There we go. Okay, so first question. How many species of sloths are there in the world today?
I'm going to say my gut reaction is 4. So B.
Are you sure? Because you know what they say, Josh, if you don't know what the answer is,
go with C. Okay.
Go with C.
It's C, yeah.
And you're right.
Yeah. Okay. My second gut reaction was 6. I'm just,
All right. Okay. Second question. We got 3 questions. Okay. We got two more questions that you need to get so that Beth gets this mug. All right.
Okay.
Question number 2. What is the top speed of a sloth when moving? Is it 0.5 miles per hour? Is it 3 miles per hour? Is it 1.5 miles per hour?
I'm just going to keep going with C. I think that's the trend here.
And you're right.
Yes. All right.
Okay, one more question. What is the origin of the word sloth? Is it from a French word for slow? Is it from the Latin word for sleepy? Or is it from a Middle English word for laziness?
I think I actually know this one. I think it is C.
And you are right.
Yeah.
Oh my, slam dunk, Josh. Congratulations. Yeah. That was so good. And congratulations to
Except
Beth.
for the first answer, but that's okay. Beth gets her mug.
Yes, Beth does get her mug. So we're going to be in touch, Beth, so that you can get this limited edition Capsho mug. We're going to send this out to you. Okay, so now we know that our mascot is a sloth because we're all about being intelligently lazy. So for people who like to skip straight to the end, Josh, this is for you. What is the one intelligently lazy nugget from today's topic that you can share with everyone right now? That is, if they did
Yeah.
not watch anything else, they can take this away and start implementing.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The first thing is everybody says your network is your net worth, but they never define what your network is. So I'm going to give you a really clear step here for you to be able to actually grow that network and identify what your network actually is. Everybody calls it their list. And I hate that word. I even hate the word network, right? It's who are your relationships? Who are your friends? Who are the people that are around you? So I'm going to give you an exercise here really quick that's going to help you to grow that faster than you thought ever was possible. Okay. Because a lot of people tell me, Josh, my list is tiny. So I say, hey, here's the first activity. We call this the calendar exercise. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys to do this. The first thing that you do is go to your calendar app. So whether that's Calendly, Acuity, Go Once Hub, whatever those, I don't know all the names of the calendars, even if it's just Google Calendar. And you can actually go look at your contacts. You can say, who are all of the people who I have met with in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, 20 years, however long you've been using a calendar app, right? It's not been 20 years because they haven't been around that long. But point being that you probably have a pretty solid list on there. I have found that most people are like, well, Josh, I don't have a list. And I go, have you been in business for 3 years? There's people there. So I'm just going to tell you, if you have a list of 0, go look at that calendar. You probably have a list of at least 50 people. And if you can get to 50 people, you've already grown your list, quote unquote, to 50. There's a whole other step to that exercise, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's the fastest way to grow your list. And it's the first step to actually getting the revenue and growing your reach, is identifying accurately who your list is.
Wow. Okay, that is amazing, because I can tell you from experience, like I've gone through this exercise of growing my list, and it's just like growth at all costs. And it was almost like it didn't matter who was on there, but it does. It so matters. And I think what you just laid out, like if we all start doing that, if nothing else, that is actually a key to growth. So thank you, Josh. That is seriously, Josh, you are hands down one of the best in the game with this stuff.
I appreciate that. I try to be.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm so actually really honored, because you actually agreed to co-host a 5-day event with me, which is actually happening next week. And it's all about becoming the industry icon in your niche. So for anyone who's on here, either on live or watching the replay, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to create content that reaches your absolute ideal audience, has them wanting to follow everything you say, and makes you money, hint, right? All of you on here, that's all of you. Then open up a new tab and go to www.industryiconlive.com and register for free right now. It's free, completely free. Do it right now, because when we're back, Josh is going to continue to blow your mind. He has so much to share and to give. He's going to do a complete deep dive with us on how to get your first or your next 50K with your content.
If you're finding yourself spending hours creating and publishing content only for it to drown in obscurity, or you're trying to show up on every platform, but gosh, it's overwhelming and you're finding yourself burning out, or you're stuck in the publishing and promoting cycle that doesn't actually get leads or sales. If that's you, then this is your invitation to join our monthly membership, Capsho Club, your one-stop shop to turn your content into a client conversion machine. Join the club now, right here.
Amazing. All right. Okay. So it's a little bit confusing because we gave you a lot of call to actions. The main one that you need to be doing right now is sign up to Industry Icon Live. Bonner's joined Bonner's dropped the link in the comments. So go and sign up for that right now. But Josh, we're going to get straight into it. So we are going to be talking about how to create content that gets you your first or your next 50K. And I honestly, I'm going to be honest, I was a bit skeptical when you mentioned this, and I was like, I don't know if I believe you. But then when you laid it out, I was like, this makes so much sense. Why are not people doing this? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because at the end of the day, social media has made us stupid. I think truthfully, everybody thinks that you've got to get to 1 million people to make $1 million. And it's just not true. I mean, you need one person to get to $1 million if you do it right. And it's so interesting to me that everybody always looks at it from that angle. And I, you know how like, maybe some of you don't know this, but the longer you're in business, people are going to start telling you what your superpower is. And you're going to go, yeah. And then you're going to go and try and sell something else. That was me for a long time until they helped me realize, because I just thought this was common knowledge. and common practice in business, but it just wasn't. And when I realized, oh, this is my superpower, we started doubling down on it. And guess what? We started making more money. It was just it's so interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I want to get into it. So I'm gonna give you the floor, and I will. And for everyone who's on here, please, this is an open masterclass. So if you have any questions, put it in the comments, and I will interrupt Josh. I'll be like, "Stop, Josh! I know you're on a roll, but we have a really important question." So that's the deal. All right. So everyone, whenever questions come up, put them in the comments so that we can get them answered for you. But Josh, the floor is yours.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, guys, when Deidre asked me to come share on here, because she and I are running this Industry Icons event, and obviously this is, I'm just going to go up in kimono with you guys. The whole reason we do master classes and things like this is because it drives traffic to our events. And I want you to watch not just what we talk about today, but what we do, so that you can see just how effective these methodologies can be. So I want to walk you guys through, though, today, a very simple methodology for you to get that first 50K in the door. Okay. And a lot of people, they look at that and they go, man, that's a big number. That's a really big number. And some people go, yeah, Josh, I did that yesterday. Right. How many of you, and feel free to drop this in the comments, how many of you $50,000 feels like a lot of money right now? Okay. And I'm not going to sit here and wait for the comments, but please add that in the chat, because I want you to commit to this to yourself and go, does that feel like a lot of money to me? If it does, that's okay. If it doesn't, that's okay, right? And this is a gauge for you to determine, is that a lot of money for you? Okay. Then we're going to start this off I want to show you just a couple of simple exercises that you can do. I do this pretty much every time I teach. I want you guys to take out a pen and paper, unless you're driving. Please don't do that. Come back to the recording if there is one, or come to Industry Icons Live and we'll deep dive this. I want you to draw 3 circles on a sheet of paper, each of them interconnected by arrows, like so. Can you guys see that? 3 circles with arrows. It's like a recycling symbol, yes? Okay. This is what we call the Pantheon flywheel. This methodology is actually a very simple way for you to start generating that money quickly, but also get into a system of consistent growth, okay? And ultimately, this is where I try not to be like ridiculous about this, but this is literally how you create a bottomless marketing budget and a ceilingless revenue for yourself, right? We've done this across 6 different companies. 2 of them failed epically because I didn't apply this correctly. The other 4 did really, really well because we leveraged this system. And this is how we've been able to get in the door with really successful people. We've been able to sit down with kings and billionaires and A-list actors, actresses, pro athletes, all this stuff. All of that has come from building relationships the proper way and leveraging those into revenue opportunities. So I'm going to give you, this is basically the backdrop for everything that we do. Okay. In those 3 circles, okay, on your page, I want you to write 50K in the top circle. I want you to write reinvest 50/50 in the one down to the bottom right, and then the bottom left, you're going to write growth tactics. I want you to write 4X underneath that, okay? You're not gonna be able to see this very well because of the camera, but because my camera's like 12 feet away, this is the setup, okay? So we start with, at the top is 50K. The next one is reinvest 50/50. The third one is, here's the third one, growth tactics 4X, okay? I wanna walk you through this model, okay? The first thing you have to do is make $50,000. That's scary, right? A lot of people go, man, yeah, Josh, that's what I've been trying to do for years. Okay, we're going to fast track that really quick here. But the first step is to make $50,000. Once we make the $50,000, if we take 25,000 of that and we live off of it, it's fantastic. Most people can live off of $25,000 a month. Yes, so I'm talking 50K a month. If you could take $25,000 home right now, would that change your life? Okay, I want you guys to drop that in the chat here. For some of you, that might mean getting out of debt. For some of you, that might mean changing your entire lifestyle, being able to live a better lifestyle. Some of you, that might mean being able to take care of a parent or a child, somebody who needs more financial support. And for some of you, it might just mean, hey, that's just cream on top, baby. Let's go do something fun, right? That $25,000 is yours. Use it for what you will. The other $25,000, you need to commit to reinvesting. Okay, so that's where we get into the second circle, which is reinvesting 50/50, right? 50% goes to you, 50% goes to the growth of this marketing channel. Okay, Now, I'll get to that here in a second. Growth tactics. Okay. I want you guys to pick a platform, whether that's podcasting, that's going on lives, that's running ads, that's doing webinars, doing events, whatever it is. Okay. Pick one. They all work. Okay. I'm just going to tell you right now, every single marketing tactic that people put out there works. You just have to work it. Okay. I'm giving you permission right now to just stop having this fear of, well, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Stop being skeptical. They work. Okay. Every marketer I've talked to, even if they're like scammers, their stuff works. They just don't do it right themselves even, right? Pick a channel. So we pick a channel. Okay. And then what we do with that extra $25,000 is we actually take that and we reinvest it into growth tactics. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example. We're doing our event, Industry Icons Live, right? The way that we filled the last event like this that we did is it was all organic. It was just Deidre and I, and then a third guy who's helping us promote this event. And the three of us went out, did emails, talked to people, and we got initial growth, right? But then we said, hey, that event went really, really well for us. So we said, let's do another one. We're going to fix things, improve things, make it amazing. We made a bunch of money off the event. It was great. But what I am doing, and Deidre's doing, and Joseph, we're all actually taking a chunk of that money, and what we're doing is putting it into growth tactics. So for this event, what we've been doing is we've been paying people per attendee that they send. So I've then gone to my affiliate network and said, hey, who wants to promote this? If you're willing to send an email, I will pay you $100 per attendee, whether they buy or not, because the math works out for us, right? So we were willing to put that money towards it, okay? And I guarantee you this event's going to be at least double, if not triple the size of the last event that we did, because we were putting the effort in behind these other people, changing a couple of our practices and improving upon what we did. And then we will make at least $50,000 from this event. Okay. The next step for us is to say, okay, if I spent $25,000 to get butts in seats, am I going to get at least a 4X return on my investments? Do you guys know what return on investment means? So if I put in $1, I'm going to make 4 back, right? That's 4X. Okay. We all clear on that? Drop me some yeses, thumbs up in the comments.
Yeah, we've got some yeses from your earlier question. So yeah, people are on board.
They're coming in. I'm just seeing. I'm
yes.
just gonna a little slow, so I apologize if you guys are like, dude, I already sent it. But it'll hit me here in a second. Anyways, point being, our next step would be, hey, let's find another channel that could also produce more leads for us. So we've been talking about, why don't we start running ads? So instead of me going out and saying, I'm going to figure out how to run ads, we have $25,000 we can put towards the best in the world at running ads. Okay. Funny enough, I know the guy who's the best in the world in running ads, and he's not as expensive as you'd think. They keep a percentage of ad spend, which means we pay them. Let's say we say we're going to put $5,000 a month for 5 months to promote our next event. We put that down. He just keeps a percentage of that money himself and runs the rest towards ad spend. Right. But that guy usually gets a 14 to 40X ROI. Right? Because he's so good at what he does. Point being is money actually opens the door to super growth. Okay. This is the exact model I used to grow my podcast, by the way. So a lot of people are like, well, Josh, like, you just got lucky. Your timing was there. I'm like, honestly, I bought my way there. That's how we got to the top 5. Okay. This is what we did with the podcast. I had made money from a previous marketing campaign, right? It wasn't $50,000. It was like $5,000. I took 2,500 of that and I reinvested it in ads. And at the time, because Josh was a dummy, Josh tried to run the ads himself. So they didn't really perform very well, but I was getting like a 1.5 return on investment. So I put in $1 and make about $1.50 back. And so what was interesting is I found that if I would do that, my listenership was growing, but my listenership also became buyers and they started buying my stuff. And then as I was making more money, I was able to start scaling that budget, quote unquote, because I took half of it myself and I was able to live off of that. But I want you guys to do some basic math with me. If it's not a 4X return on investment, so let's say I'm going to make this simple math. Let's say I put in $100 and I spent 50 of it on growing it. So I reinvested $50 and I only made 1.5X return on let's just say 2X to make it simple. That means I spent $50 and I only actually made 75 back. Or excuse me, I scratch that. Wow, bad math. I made 100 back. So I made $100 back. But here's the point. I made $100 back, but then I'm stuck in this cycle. where I'm like, man, I keep spending my money and I'm making enough money. It's great. Here's what's cool. If you can target a 4x return, which I know sounds ridiculous and super out there, but if you hire the best of the best, 4x is a loss for them. They're like, frick, we suck. We only did a 4x return, right? A good marketer is looking for like 10x, 20x, 30x return on the investment. Now, when I talk tactics, I'm talking agencies, not consultants, not coaches, not courses, because those are dependent on you. An agency is paying somebody else, and the ball stops with that, or the buck stops with them. Okay. This is why we recommend hiring agencies. So I have made it a point in my life to know the best agency for everything, because whenever I need them, or when somebody I know needs them, we know who the best are and they have guaranteed results, right? Everybody following me here?
Yeah.
Let's see some yeses, some thumbs up. Okay.
Yeah, we got some yeses. And Josh, I'm going to need to get into that black book of yours too.
Exactly. Well, you're not
Sounds
technically
amazing.
an agency, you're a SaaS and you're already there. So point being is CAPTCHA is one of the coolest softwares ever. Go buy it. But the point is SaaS software and things like this are great, but don't leverage them as a way to, again, don't make yourself the bottleneck. You use software when somebody you know needs it in your company, right? CAPTCHA is one of the very few exceptions where it's something you could do yourself because it's going to save you an immense amount of time, right? But don't get hung up on this. Well, I have to be doing this, because like when we're using CAPTCHA for my company, I never log in. I'm sorry, Deidre, right? It's somebody on my team paid somebody else to do this, and their job is to get a 4x ROI. And guess what helps them do that? They use CAPTCHA. Okay, so that's where software falls into this. Okay. Here's what's really interesting though, is that for you guys, as you're going through this, you're like, Josh, making 50K scares the living daylights out of me. And I'm going to give you just a really clear path to do this. Now we're going to go clear back to the nugget that we talked about here at the beginning. What did you call it? The golden nugget?
Intelligently lazy nugget.
That's so good. Luis Camejo, you know him as well. He calls them golden boulders, which I think is really funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm like, you got to coin that and then like send a golden boulder to people. Anyways, he's a funny dude. Anyways, point being though, is that we start with identifying who our list is. So if we're trying to make that first $50,000, I'm going to give you, this is just the clear path. The first thing is you've got to have an offer that sells for at least $10,000. Okay. Now, if you're like, whoa, Josh, that's way too much money, there's no way I could ever charge that. I have a whole training on this. Go to my LinkedIn. It's one of the top 3 pieces of content. Building a $10,000 offer is way easier than you think. And in fact, the more you charge, the less you are a factor in the success of the results. And let me explain that. If you launch a $100 offer where you're coaching and consulting people, you're going to get more problems. You're going to have a harder time selling it. And people are going to not value your time because you're selling it for too cheap. And between you guys and me, I've actually had this conversation with a lady who teaches homeschooling. Okay. She's like, the epitome of her market is that these people don't have money. That's what she talks about. These people don't have money, but we helped her create a $30,000 offer from a $300 offer by just tweaking a couple of the points, and it sells better. Okay. It sells way, way better. You get better quality people. The people actually value what you do. They become evangelists. And then at some point you make enough money, you can do a low ticket program again, where you just give it away or just give it away for free, right? The value of doing this is that if we can identify a $10,000 offer that we can sell, even if it's not the offer we're going to do forever, but it's something we're going to do as a way to generate $50,000 to kind of start the flywheel effect here, you don't have to commit to it for life, right? It's an amazing process. So let me give you guys this. There's 3 things that I recommend people do if they want to do, if they want to make that first 50K. You do some sort of high ticket coaching program, some sort of high ticket mastermind, or some sort of consulting in your field. Okay. And your goal isn't to get 1 million clients of this. Okay. You're not trying to go out and get 1 million people to buy this offer. If it's a $10,000 offer, you're trying to get 5. Okay. If it's consulting, please, for the love of all, it's good. Just sell it for $50,000 and get 1 client. Okay. Just going to put that out there for those of you who are B2B. But the point here is if you'll do a high ticket offer like that, even if you're not confident enough, even if you feel like, Josh, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm old, I'm young, I'm whatever, right? Whatever excuse you're making in your head, it does not matter. Okay. I'm not going to tell this story because that was actually kind of rude, but I will tell. There's a long story. This lady was not very attractive, and she talked about it constantly. But what was crazy is this lady's making millions of dollars with her face. She's out there talking to people and generating a lot of buzz with her marketing, and she's unattractive. And she talks about it constantly, and it's kind of sad. Honestly, that's why I'm like kind of scared to share this, because it was like really sad thing for her, because it was it was a problem with self. But anyways, long story short is that she's done a lot of money, even like in spite of those things. Yeah, I made my first $1 million when I was 23 years old, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, like that's too young. That's way too young," right? And some people get mad. Like my dad gets mad about that because he spent his whole life trying to make $1 million. Point being is like that's where a lot of people get hung up. It's like, well, I'm too old. I'm too tech averse. I'm too blah, 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 blah. I'm going to tell you right now, there is no excuse for not having a high ticket offer. Okay. No matter where you're at. I hope I've beat that to death, because I want you guys to understand there's no reason why you shouldn't have a high ticket offer.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm letting the team down, because it's like, I love doing what it is that the experts tell me to do. And I'm like, I need a high ticket offer. But the great thing is that we're doing a really cool thing together. So I think, yeah, I'm really good about that.
We have a very amazing offer. It's a high ticket offer, but it's literally a business in a box offer. So
yeah.
Come to Industry Icons Live, you'll find out about it. There's my sales pitch for you. So point being though, is everybody, so Capsho has a software, and a lot of times it's like people have software go, well, this is what I want to do. And I say, that's awesome. But instead of having to go out and raise money, right? Like sell other people on giving you money on a hope and a prayer that's going to be an investment, why don't you just go make the money? And you can't, in most cases with software, you can't just turn that into a $10,000 offer. You're going to have to do something on the side. This is why I recommend doing coaching, consulting, masterminds, something like that, because the margins are really high and you can just fulfill on it yourself with your time. And what's so cool about this is it actually allows you to, if you'll implement an offer like this, it allows you to simplify what you're doing. You don't need to make 1 million sales. You literally, if you're doing a $10,000 offer, it's 5 sales. It's 5, right? So and I'm going to tell you guys, even if this took you a month to get 1 sale at a time, for most people, that's more money than they have ever made, right? And if you were to do a $10,000 offer and you took $5,000 of that yourself, that's good enough to at least probably keep you afloat, keep the bills paid, pay the credit cards, whatever it is. That other $5,000, you put it into a bank account that you use for growth tactics. But you do that for 5 months and you sell 1 person a month. If that's all you did, you now have a $25,000 marketing budget that you can put towards whatever marketing channel you want to use. And my recommendation is to start with simple things like that have short-term returns. So it's like doing events. It's like doing ads. It's paying for content, right? You're leveraging the right content play you can make a lot of money off of. It's not, and I know this is going to piss off a lot of people out there, but it's not SEO and even podcasting in a lot of cases, right? Because a lot of times we put a lot of money into equipment and studios and like, what's it going to make me a lot of money? And it doesn't. But those things can be being done in the background. And eventually you're going to have enough budget to put towards it. But for right now, we put it into something that we know has a guarantee of a 4x return. Okay. So what's really cool about this is we start with picking an offer. Okay. I've already given you 3. Like I said, I have a whole piece of content on this. Go watch it. It's free. To break down how to like run each of these different offers. And I'm actually going to release a series soon on this. I need to actually do this. So this is me holding myself accountable.
You had it here first. Yeah.
I will put a long form piece of content up for each of those offers individually, so you know how to build it. Because we have nothing to hide. It's not rocket science. There's very specific offers that work very, very well. Okay, so let's say we go out and we've got to find that first $50,000. Okay, this is going back to the golden nugget, like I talked about. This is where the calendar exercise becomes phenomenally important. It's such a fantastic tool that you can use. So with the calendar exercise, okay, we can leverage something like our Google Calendar or Calendly or whatever we have. I'm going to encourage you to do this, okay? So I want you to take your existing email list if you have one, okay? If you don't have one, that's okay. Don't say, oh, I can't do this because I don't have an email list, okay? Everybody has at least one of these lists, okay? So what you're going to do, you're going to start first with pull together the email list that you have. Okay. Get a list of them with their emails or phone numbers, whatever you have for them, and put it into a list. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go to your calendar. You're going to pull all the contacts from your calendar. Do not be, what's the word? Like skeptical about this. Just pull the whole list. Don't try and say, well, not this person, not this. We'll do that later. We'll sift them later. Put them onto a list. Into that same list, right? So all of these need to go into one big list. Take the people from your calendar, put them on that list. Then what you're going to do is you're going to open, where's my phone? You're going to open your phone. Okay. We bust open the phone and we pull open our contacts. Okay. So Apple has this, Android has this, whatever phone you're using, they all have it. Okay. There's a way for you, just Google it, to actually pull a list of all of the contacts on your phone. Okay. So you just go through your phone. I don't know if I should be showing those names. Anyways, go through your phone, pull all of the names, put them onto this list. Okay. And yes, you're going to have mom and sister and brother-in-law and cousin and person you hate. Put them on the list for right now. Okay. Then this is where the third tier comes into play. So we start with our calendar, then we go to our phone, then we go out to social media. Okay. This is where we go into our social media and we go through and pull all of the people we are connected with on these platforms. I like to start with LinkedIn. That's the easiest platform to pull these from, even if you only have 100 people. But if you'll pull lists from all these places and you look at it, you actually probably have anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 people on your list, quote unquote. Okay. These are relationships that are first degree, meaning they have committed time or connection to you. Okay, even if they're on social media, if they are following you or you've become friends, even if it was some random person from the Philippines who is pitching you something, that is a relationship. And you've committed to that relationship. Okay, then what I'm going to have you do, this is the next step of that exercise. That's building the list. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to read through this list and you're going to take, I have a lot of people who are old fashioned like me. I like to print it off. Okay. And what I do is I will take a highlighter, and you can do this obviously in a Google Sheet or Excel or whatever, and just highlight it. I will highlight anybody who I go, they might be interested in my offer. They might be qualified. This is for my at least $10,000 offer, right? Go through, highlight. Okay. And what you'll do is, again, this is where you can start being a little bit more judicious, where you say, well, I don't like that person. I wouldn't want them as a client. They're too broke, whatever it is, right? But what will happen as you do this, highlighter, you're going to find people that you're like, oh my gosh, I was talking about buying my services 2 years ago. And whatever happened to that relationship? Oh my goodness, this was a friend in college who's now super successful. Oh my gosh, this is blah, blah, blah. And like, you're going to find person after person. You just haven't ever done a true assessment of your relationships and who you have around you. Okay. So here's what's funny. You're going to take a highlighter. So pick a yellow highlighter, go highlight all the people who could be a potential client for you. Okay. Then you're not done yet. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get a different color highlighter, and you're going to go through and look for anybody who might be a good interview for a podcast. They might be like the wealthiest people you know. They might be the most successful or have the coolest story or whatever. And because if you're listening to this training, you're obviously interested in podcasting and content and being a creator, start highlighting these people. It might even be people that you want back on to the show if you're a podcaster and you've been doing this a long time. But you're going to highlight all of those people. You're going to pull that entire list. Okay. Now, here's what's cool about this. Let's start with the podcast side of things. If you start there, you start with just the podcast side of things, where you reach out to people and you ask them to be on the show, you're going to watch your numbers are automatically going to start increasing. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. Okay. But reaching out to people specifically for the podcast is a really easy exercise in gaining the confidence again to talk to people. Okay. Even if you feel like you're the most confident human on the planet, this will kind of get that priming going. Okay. What I recommend you do is you block one day, an entire day off. Don't have a single call on your calendar. Don't attend anything. Don't watch TV. Like, turn everything off except for this list. Okay. And if you have it, start by texting every person on the list that you've highlighted. Okay. Here's what's cool. If you'll reach out to them with very simple messaging, like, hey, I don't know where we ended up leaving this off. If they were a potential client before, or, hey, it's been a long time since we talked. Would love to reconnect with you. I would love to have you on my podcast, whatever it is. Something very simple, right? One quick sentence. We're not trying to pitch them anything. We're trying to get on a call with them. And what'll happen is, as you go through this, can almost guarantee you'll close 4 to 5 deals just doing this exercise. Okay. It requires no cold outreach because these are people you already know. It requires no money because you've already paid for the calendar app. You've literally got them on your list and you've already paid for your phone. So you text them, email them, LinkedIn message them, Facebook message them, whatever it is. But your goal is to just invite them onto a call. Okay. Here's what's crazy, guys. So we have a high ticket mastermind that we sell. It's $30,000 a year for this mastermind. And we've had a couple hundred people go through it at this point. Anyways, of those couple hundred people, every time I've done this exercise, they've gotten at least one sale. Okay. But the average when I'm bringing people into this, these are people who've are probably a little bit more experienced in business, but not a single one of them has ever done less. Or excuse me, let me rephrase that. The average of the room is $80,000 in sales from just doing this exercise. Okay. I'm not BSing here. This is literally $80,000. These are for people. I've had people do this who've never made a sale in their life. $80,000. Okay. Because these people know you. These are your warm relationships. They know who you are. So, Deidre, did you want to hop in?
I was just gonna say that is so crazy. And I do have some questions, but I want you to keep going because I don't want you to lose your flow and then I might actually come back and
cool. Well, that's totally fine. So this is where it gets fun though, right? Is if you'll do this exercise, guys, and I'm going to ask you, all of you in here, to commit to doing this within the next week. Okay. Cancel calls, cancel trainings, whatever it is, right? Come to Industry Icons Live. We're going to be doing that there, right? But then pick a time where you can take an entire day doing this. Even if it takes you a whole day to pull your calendar together, even if it takes you 3 days to contact these people, even if it takes you a week straight of just back-to-back phone calls with people, would that be worth 80 grand? Okay. Would that be worth $10,000 for crying out loud? That's all it takes. That's literally all it takes. Okay. So that's exercise number one, as far as like generating that 50K, but that starts to kick the flywheel off. It gets really, really cool this way. And then I'm going to give you if you want to hop in, Deidre, feel free to just interrupt me. I talk a lot. So,
well, I was going to say, like, it sounds scary actually to do this. So I think for you kind of just grab them by the balls and you just do it, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna. Can I speak to this?
Yes, please.
I am an introvert. It may not seem like it. I have become more extroverted through being in business a long time, but I am actually naturally an introvert. I'm not going to be all up in your face pitching you. I am not a hard seller. I am still scared of selling, truthfully. It's become like a high for me because I've gotten pretty good at it, but it still scares me. Every time I know I'm going into a sales calls, I get the butterflies. But here's something that a mentor told me that I was like, holy cow, that is like, it's like the most profound truth ever, is that the barrier between you and whatever the successful result is you want. So let's say it's $1 million, right? Or it's freedom or impact, whatever the word is for you. The only reason you are not already there is a courage problem. Okay. That's the barrier. If you will have small, potent, courageous actions, you do what nobody else is doing, because nobody does this. Nobody does this because it's scary, right? And if you will do it, you will become known in your space overnight, right? Let me give you an example, okay? Deidre doesn't like speaking on stage. She doesn't like sharing stuff, right? My first interaction with Deidre was Alex Sanfilippo introduced us at, might even be Chris Williams. I don't remember who it was, but we were at Podcast Movement. Mm-hmm. She walks up to me, probably, I'm assuming through Alex had heard a little bit about who we were. You know, I'm not an intimidating guy, but some people look at our results and go, oh my gosh, like I can't talk to this guy. And the point is though, is like Deidre was courageous enough to go, here's what we do. I handed her my credit card. No exaggeration.
Literally. Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm not going to lie to you. I do this frequently when it's something that's solid and I know it could solve a big problem that we have, because, and PS like Captcha was like what, like $100 a month or something. It's not even expensive. Right. So it was like, I was like, let's try it. But Deidre made one courageous action. But I've watched her do this since they've launched the company, of like, it's been courageous action after courageous action after courageous action. And I'm sure she like has super scary moments. Maybe you've cried about it. I don't know. I don't know if you're a crier or not.
Many times.
Like those moments afterwards, you're like, that was so scary. That was so scary. That was so scary. But at the end of the day, Capsho has gone from being the new player to literally one of the most popular brands in the podcasting space in 2 years since you guys have been around. And it's from it's courageous actions, right? And I'm not going to throw your revenue numbers around, but they've done pretty well for themselves, right? And this is the point, though, is that courageous action is what people are unwilling to do because they're worried about not looking cool. They're worried about what other people are going to think about them. They're worried about messing up. But the coolest part about it is like, if you can get the courage to do that one action, everything else will fall away. And I've told people this. So we've trained. We're about to cross 3,000 entrepreneurs who've been through all of our programs, and I'm going to have a whole party when we hit that because every 1,000 is millions of lives reached, which is fun. So point being, though, is that 3,000 people have gone through the program, and I have watched, there's a handful of people who've become like my evangelists who've stuck around for years, and they are still in the exact same spot when they started. And I've given them all these same things. And every time that I talk to them and they're like, yeah, I'm changing my offer. I'm adjusting this. I'm tweaking this. I'm trying this new marketing thing. I go, okay, the reason your business is in chaos and it's so hard for you is because you are unwilling to do the one action that is going to make you the money, which is reaching out to people and closing the sale. If you will do that, even if it's the scariest thing that you'll do, on the other side of that is a flywheel that's going to remove you from that process forever. So you never have to do it again, first off. But it's also going to be where all of the money is, where all of the influence is, all of the lives changed are on the other side of that action. Okay. It is that action of reaching out to people and closing sales. Does that make sense?
That is so real. Yeah, no, 100% that makes sense. Because even as you say, for Capsho, obviously we didn't have a high ticket thing, so it wasn't quite in the same vein as what you're talking about now. But even when I think back to it, we did very similar things to what you're doing now. And I can hand on heart say, yes, what you said there, where everything that you're looking for is on the other side of this really, really scary thing. It is so true. That is so powerful.
It's your differentiator. At the end of the day, like that's why you've done well.
Yes. And I know, Josh, because I do want to bring this back to people that watching and listening to this. They are entrepreneurs who create content in some way. And I know that some people are like, okay, fine, Josh, you're telling me I have to create my list and I have to start reaching out to them. Awesome. But I think that you have a way to actually reach out around with content that actually makes it not seem as scary and not seem as like, I'm just going to get in your face because I want to sell you something. Can you talk to your process of doing that?
Yes. So let's talk through the content side of this. Okay. And this is where actually Capsho plays a big role in this. When you're going through this process and you do the calendar exercise, you're meeting people, that conversation is where people get really hung up. Right. And that's why I was like, I'll kind of get to this. I have found if you are scared to go right into a sales conversation, it's easier and safer, quote unquote, to invite people onto a podcast or whatever you want to call it. It could be interviewing them for a book or interviewing them for a magazine or whatever it is, right? But it's also the fastest way in the door is to get them to sit down with you and you interview them. Okay. And this actually might be a new thing for you too, Deidre. I don't know if we've even talked about this. So P.S. I know how your name is spelled and pronounced, and I looked at my phone the other day, and it's spelled wrong in my phone. Total tangent. I was like, "Wow, you dummy!" So I changed it. Anyways, so here's the methodology, okay, and the exact practice. So what I start with is I always start with somebody who is the low-hanging fruit, okay. I'll give you an example of this. When I launched the Lucky Titan podcast, which is the one that hit top 5 on iTunes. That one wasn't my first show. I had 3 shows before that show, before this one actually took off. And the first 3 shows the first 2 were me talking, like solo casting, and I was just talking to the camera. They never performed well. In fact, we just deleted them because I was selling them to a different audience. And I kind of am bummed I did that because it'd be fun to like show you guys where we were. But I was embarrassed of them at the time. So there you go. Courageous action would have made me more money now. Point being, the Lucky Titan podcast was the fourth show that we started, and I had never interviewed successful people. I had been the podcast prior to that. I had interviewed local businesses and professors from one of my programs that we went through, my undergrad or my graduate program. And long story short is that as I was doing that, it just wasn't resonating with people, and so I was like, okay, I need to start over. So we launched the Lucky Titan podcast, and I did the calendar activity. Okay, this is actually really where the birth of this method happened. I went through my LinkedIn connections. I went through my calendar, which at the time I had only local businesses because we had been running a business doing Facebook ads for local businesses that just did not work very well. But we went through and pulled that entire list. I pulled all the contacts from my phone, did everything there, right? But this is what happened. As I went through there and I said, I am going to find the most successful person that I can think of on this list. And between you guys and me, I didn't really know anybody. It was all like local businesses and a few online people. But I'm like, who do I know? Crazy enough, 3 or 4 years prior to this, I had watched a guy at my school. So he came to my school and talked. And what was whoa, there's like some static going on. Sorry about that, guys. But what was so interesting is this guy, I assumed he was a millionaire. I had no idea how successful he was at the time, but I was connected with him on LinkedIn because when he was on stage, he's like, hey, he's all about networking. So he's like, connect with me on LinkedIn. I said, awesome. So connected with him on LinkedIn. So I sent him a message just as a Hail Mary. I said, let's see if this guy will respond. This was, I wish I could pull the message up right now, but I'd have to go dig for it. Point being, I know the exact message. It was literally, his name's Josh as well. I said, hey, Josh, I'm starting this new podcast interviewing successful entrepreneurs like you. This probably isn't even going to hit your inbox, but I would be honored if you would come on my podcast. Okay. I hit send, 3 dots pop up at the bottom. He responds immediately, says, yes, Josh, thank you so much. That'd be an amazing experience. So he comes on my podcast. Turns out this guy is worth like $30 to $40 million a year. He does very, very well for himself. Super successful guy. Then this is where the methodology starts. Okay. So got one person to come on the show, amazing person, but guess what? He's already successful. Okay. He has a network. And I'm going to make this as like a call to action to you guys. So it's like inviting somebody like him to come on the show who has a big network. You want me on your show? I would love to come on your show, and I will gladly do the next step here. Okay. Point being, I interviewed him, and then this is where the next step starts. After the interview, so I only interviewed him for about 20 minutes, but we booked an hour. And I said, hey, after the interview, hey, I really want to take this show far, right? I'm trying to do something really big with this. I want to give back to the entrepreneurial community, but I also want to make a lot of money off of it. And he goes, okay, well, who do you want on the show? I'm like, honestly, I just want to work with more successful people like you. And he goes, Josh, what's your cap? Like, how much money are they allowed to make? And I was like, I mean, zero ceiling, dude, like anybody you want. And he goes, well, here's the thing. I have a mastermind. We have 46 members in it they have to have $1 billion net worth to be in the room with a B. He's like, could I invite some of them to come on the show? And I was like, praise the Lord. Yes, please. Any one of them. He proceeds for the next hour. He sent me an introduction to every single member of his mastermind, all 45 of them. I have had all 45 of them on my show since we started. And every single one of them I've done some semblance of business with. Okay. And I'll get to that part here in a minute. But that is the power of step number 2. Okay. Sharing your intentions of this is what I'm trying to accomplish. Share your mission with them. Like, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. Who do you know who could help me get there? Right? If you'll do this is what's really fun. Number 1, they'll refer you people. You should never leave a call without having your next call planned out with them. Okay. So it's asking them, who's the next person I need to know? But then also, once you've stated your intentions, they're going to say, I might be interested in your services. I might be willing to help you. And I have found that even if I don't pitch, zero pitching, I have this conversation about this is where I'm trying to go. Okay. I established early on for myself, I'm like, my mission is I want to gather 1,000 of the world's best humans and to elevate them through entrepreneurship. I want to help them grow their businesses. Very vague, right? But that's been kind of my life mission. And we've had different services through this whole process that have kind of plugged in there, different offers that we've offered along the way. but they naturally ask me, they're like, well, number one, here's who you need to know because they have a great community or they're really amazing people or a cool story. So they become a podcast guest, but they'll also tell me, Josh, tell me how you're doing that. Right? Because it's just the natural next question. I've stated what I'm trying to accomplish and they go, wow, I could buy into that. How can I help? Right? And what's really cool is I've found that if you will do this 10 times, 1 out of 10 is going to go, give me more information. Let's talk on this. And then we book a second call. They usually end up becoming a sale for us, or they refer me people who are going to be potential sales because I'm always asking on that next step for the next person. Okay. Here's how this relates to growing your reach and to the content side of it. Okay. Josh and I, the other Josh, we did a really awesome piece of content, right? He brought his A game. We had a great interview and this is what we did. Okay. In this interview, I was asking Josh about his life and what he was doing, right? He told me his story. And then all I did after the interview, obviously including the whole process we just talked about, is I asked him, what does somebody like you need? Like, what are your big problems? Where are you at in business? And Josh goes, well, this is the part you probably don't know, Deidre, because I just articulated this a couple of weeks ago and I realized, you idiot, why have you not been teaching this? Again, another one of those things that you don't realize you're good at. Point being is I asked him what his big problem was. He said, Josh, I'm at this point, my mastermind's crushing it, but I'm actually releasing, or I want to go speak on a stage. Do you know how to get on stages? And I'm like, honestly, no, I don't, but I will find the best person on the planet for it. I'll record you a piece of content and I will send it to you. Okay. So what did I do? I went out on a mad search through my connections and going, who knows the best person of getting people on stages, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, who knows how to get people on stages? Found the person who was amazing at doing that. Jeff Curley is his name, actually. Jeff. So I bring Jeff onto my show. Actually, it wasn't Jeff at the time. Anyways, long story short, Jeff would be my recommendation now. Jeff comes on my show. We repeat this process, right? We repeat the process of recording the interview, asking for referrals, asking what his problems are, what he needs, right? So I'm leaving this interview not just with a piece of content, which is great, but I've actually developed a new piece of content specifically for my previous guest. Okay. So this is what I did is in the interview with the second guy, Jeff, I said, hey, Jeff, one of my listeners, Josh, I'm not gonna repeat his last name. Sorry. Josh came on my show. He's an amazing guy. He has a question about getting on stages, right? Can you walk us through how you would do that? So we made a really good piece of content, but we were constantly referencing Josh, the other guy, Josh, right? In this episode, we got the piece of content. I wish we had Capsho at the time, but we would use Capsho, right? We'd generate all the show notes. We'd produce the piece of content, put it out to the world, beautiful, and have all the copywriting, all the images and everything done, which is great, right? But this is where it gets really fun. I post the piece of content to LinkedIn. I tagged Josh in it, and then I texted him. Said, hey, Josh, we recorded this interview for you. I know you wanted to figure out about speaking on stage. So here's the episode. Named you in it, right? I don't even ask him to promote it. But what Josh does is he goes, dude, nobody's ever done this for me before. Again, you guys catching the thing here. Being courageous, right? Doing those courageous steps. But I'll send him that episode and he goes, man, thank you so much. That solves his problem. Guess what? He still listens to my podcast religiously. Okay. Because I'm constantly asking the next person what their problem is, like where they could use help. We find the solution. We present the solution to them. They start listening to the show. Okay. Then they'll start evangelizing the show. This is how you get organic reach. People think that it takes ads and everything else to like actually grow your reach. My first 100,000 listens came specifically through this method, and it only took 100 reps. Okay. So I interview one guy, rep 1, interview the next guy, send the piece of content to the previous guy, rep 2, and just repeat all the way to 100 episodes. And I was insane. So I did like 1 to 2 a day, right? Because I was like, hey, if I can do this fast enough, I'm going to build my network. But what's crazy about this is that took us to 100,000 downloads on our show, over 100 episodes. And we did it it was a little bit more than 100 days, like 120 days. But point being, we were able to accomplish that in that time, let alone all the revenue that came in, how quickly I grew my network, how all of a sudden my brand got exposed to a bunch of really amazing people. It's like, it's a process. I can't iterate this enough to people. Is like, it is the courageous actions, the manual actions. You can't source this. It has to be done by you as the owner. And if you'll do it at some point, it just flywheels and it takes off. So there is a lot of information in there. We are deep diving this Industry Icons Live. I'm just going to call that out one more time. But we'll be deep diving.
Let's definitely go into that if you don't mind, Josh. So we're doing a 5-day event next week. It is called Industry Icon and Live, and it is all about how someone, like literally what Josh talked about, right? Like, how do you, as maybe at this point you might feel like you aren't that courageous, you might feel like you don't deserve to be in particular rooms, you might feel like, I'm creating all this content but it's not really doing much for me. How do we get from maybe feeling some of these things to like, I am the go-to person for people in my industry? When they think of, insert your industry, they think me, or you, insert, not me.
Yeah, insert your name.
Insert your name. That is our whole purpose. And not just from like this is going to make me feel good and I'm going to be famous, but it's more like, because this is how you make money. And so thank you so much, Josh. That was amazing. I'm just mindful of time, and I know, I think, yeah. Anyway, we're running out of time.
Yeah, I totally did that to myself. So
all good, because I know you're going to deep dive into this anyway next week. So if anyone on here is like, oh my gosh, Josh, you left me hanging, I need to learn more about this whole process, then sign up, www.industryiconlive.com. We'll leave the links in the comments, and we'll also put it in the description for this masterclass. Thank you so much, Josh.
You bet. Yes, can I throw a quick note in there for them too?
Yes.
Make sure you register for VIP. It's free. Okay, but register for VIP, because we have a Q&A session on there. So if you liked what we're talking about and you're going, I'm lost, show up to the VIP, because we can Q&A this. And you can say, hey, Josh, I was there at the training that we did with Deidre. Let's deep dive this topic. I'm happy to deep dive. That's why we do this, is it opens up our schedules to give you guys all the coaching and training you need to make this actually work for you.
100%. And I can tell you, the last time we did this, people in VIP were like, I don't know, is anyone on here, James, were you part of VIP last time? Because it was amazing. Like, it literally blew everyone's mind. So you've got to get in on VIP for sure. Thank you once again, Josh. You just, every time we speak, I learn so much from you. And, the one thing for me, and I know that you already shared your Intelligently Lazy nugget, but for me personally, it's really about just these courageous steps that we have to take as entrepreneur. Like, it's almost like entrepreneur equals courage, right? Like, you have to be courageous to build a really successful business. And so thank you for reminding me of that once again.
Yeah, you bet. And you guys are going to crush it. I mean, if you're here on this call, you're doing the right steps, and Deidre's a great person to follow. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited for this event. I'm like counting down the days too. And I'm like, come on, let's get back into these. These are so fun.
Yeah, literally less than a week. So get in on VIP. We will see you there. Thank you so much, Josh, and everyone else who hung with us. This is this month's Capture Masterclass, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.